So together, my friends, we'll gather in the light 3 times, once for ourselves, once for our families, and once for the entire world as we join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you, Dad. And the last prayer to add tonight is just an acknowledgement that we are gathered today on the ancestral homeland of the Duwamish people. And our prayer is that we move during our Shabbat, we orient towards moving back to a way of living that reminds us and is reminiscent of their way of living in harmony with the earth and peace and in balance. And so you can hold that prayer as well. So I'll take one more deep breath in. We're there. We're in the Shabbat. So with that, my friends, it's time to enter into the formal prayer portion of our service with the Baruch Hu, and I invite us all to rise and turn to page 28.
Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Blessed is the blessed one, blessed is the giver of blessing, blessed in this moment now, and every now to come. Blessed is the blessed one, blessed is the giver of blessing, blessed in this moment now, and every now to come. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Come, come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Do do do
standing and turn to page 30 as we join together in the Hebrew Ma'ariv Aravim. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim B'chokhmah Poteach She'arim Ubitfuna Meshane Itim Umachalif Et Hazmanim Umsader Et HaKochavim B'mishmerotehem Barakia Kirtzono Borei Yom V'Layla Golel Or Mipnei Choshech V'Choshech Mipnei Or Uma'avir Yom Umevi Laila Uma'avdil Ben Yom Uvein Laila Adonai Tzebaot Shemo El Chai V'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. Now turn to page 34 and 35 for the Shema, the watchers of our faith. And I invite us now just to take another deep breath in, just really center inwards, and really, as we sing this, dwell upon this idea of the total unity of everything, that everything is Adonai, as we say in this. And we say it so frequently, but do we ever really contemplate and consider the implications of that and what that actually means? So I invite you to go inward on this one, really go in on it, and feel into that truth as we sing together.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
And thou shalt love Adonai thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command you on this day shall be upon thy heart, shall be upon thy heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and when thou risest up, and thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates.
there's a well-known midrash that I can't remember if we've ever shared it on this in this community, at least not in my memory. So I'd like to share it with you tonight. It's the midrash of Nachshon ben Yaminadav. Yeah, it's like, so you can see, it's too fitting. Amazing. Well, happy birthday. So as the story goes, when Moses was leading the Israelites out of Egypt, Moses got to the Red Sea, the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Israelites behind him. Moses raises his staff, and what happens? Well, allegedly the water split, but the rabbis tell a little bit of a different story. Ken nailed it, that the waters actually did nothing. And again, Moses, I can imagine Moses maybe like tapping, like shaking his staff. And the orchestral swell comes and raises his staff, and nothing happens again. And he tries a couple more times, and it wasn't until a man by the name of Nachshon ben Yaminadav, which is a great mouthful of a name, starts to step out into the water. He sees that the Egyptians are behind him, that they're gaining on them, they're on their tail. Something has to happen. Something has to be done. We can't stay in this place any longer. So Nachshon steps out into the water, ankles deep, and says, Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, who is like you amongst the gods? And still nothing happens. So he trudges out. Now he's waist deep. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai. Still nothing happens. And he goes even further. Now he's up to his chest. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai. And he's still going. Nothing happens. Not until he's fully submerged. And he goes, Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai. Who is like you? It's not until he's fully submerged that the waters part. And it's a great story, but you can imagine being Nachshon, not even knowing what's going to happen, right? Not knowing, but trusting that something will, and being so utterly submerged in the Red Sea. Like, how wild of an experience must that have been to be completely submerged in that moment of complete surrender? That's when the seas parted. And so we can really learn a lot about what it means to step into the discomfort, to really go somewhere that no one else is willing to go, maybe, in order to allow for this feeling of freedom and liberation to happen. And this freedom and liberation, we can thank Nachshon a lot for this, and we need to, because it's this freedom and liberation that has led us to be able to be here tonight doing this beautiful thing that we're doing here, and all the other beautiful things that we Jews have done around the world throughout time and space. And so I think we should sing a song about freedom. How's that sound, Rabbi?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's time. This is a little bit of a modern take on old words, and so some of you will know it. Feel free to join along.
Freedom, 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 freedom.
We're on page 40.
Freedom, 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 oh, freedom, freedom. Freedom, freedom, me.
Tahashkivenu, song about spreading shelter. And I love this version because it speaks to a form of shelter that we can all offer each other, which is the form of shelter that exists in relationship. The English words we'll be singing are on the top of page 43, and it's just a simple prayer. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let the way that we treat each other be the source of peace, right? May we act all the time as a shelter for each other, working, even if it's uncomfortable, to be peaceful, a peaceful presence for those in our lives. So we join together.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Ashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Ashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Gula Livnei B'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai E'akol atah Rav Lehoshia Mori Tata Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye Hakol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Verofech Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Vishenei Afar Michamocha Bal Givurot Umido Melach Melech Meimi Tumechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua V'neman Atah L'Hachayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye HaKol Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yalu Chasela Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. My friends, we've said many words this evening, and now we take a moment away from the words on the page and to the words on our hearts. So we take a moment for silent prayer, some tefillat halev, whatever prayer is most present on your heart. Now is the moment to connect with that. And when you are feeling complete, you may be seated.
Ratzonim Refi, page 62. Vegyon Levi. Yehu Ratzonim Refi, Vegyon Levi Lefanecha. Yehu Ratzonim Refi, Vegyon. Ratzonim refi vegyon libi lefanecha Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri v'goali Adonai Tzuri Adonai Tzuri v'goali. Go inside your heart, just be. Go inside your heart and see what it wants, what it needs, what it yearns when you breathe. Go inside your heart and see. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be kind, be true. May they be acceptable to you, oh my rock, and my Redeemer.
So Shabbat is not just our day off, it's God's day off too. I mean, it's our day off because it was God's day off, to be clear. And on Shabbat, because it's God's day off, we're not really supposed to ask for anything. And it might come as a surprise if you only come to pray on Friday, which is wonderful that you do, but during the week we get to ask for stuff. I encounter so many people who are like, we're not supposed to ask for stuff. We ask for 18 things 3 times a day. That's why God needs a day off. So it's okay to ask for things. A. B. On Shabbat, we still ask for healing. We still ask for wholeness. And we do so with the words of Mishaberach. And we ask not for a complete healing, which is often how it's translated. I think it's mistranslated. We ask for a refuah shlema, a healing of wholeness. Shalom, shalem, that which is whole. This suggestion that even if we are not able to return to a state of health that we were in before, we can still move through life with wholeness, that is up to us. There is a lot of need for healing in the world. There are so many broken places. In fact, there's a little drash about this week's Parsha. Do you know this? Parshat Pinchas, not one of my favorite ones. It's about a lot of violence and a lot of strife. And in the Sefer Torah, there is a Vav. The Vav is a letter that's written just kind of like this. In every Sefer Torah and every scroll, there is a broken Vav. That these scribes who have been writing Torahs for centuries, who continue to make this what might look like an error, but it's not. It's the ancients' way of standing up against violence and saying, this is not who we are. This is not us. There is a brokenness here in this text. So as we move through the rest of this service and as we turn to Mishaberach and turn our hearts to those in our lives who are in need of healing, those in the world who are in need of healing, and finally, the broken places within us, may we have a refuah shlema, a refuah of wholeness. May we be able to access our shlemut, our wholeness, no matter what. Mishaberach is on page 253.
If there's anyone who you would like to call into this space, anyone in particular in your lives who are in need of healing, I invite you to say their name as I move my hand around the space.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Just want to take a moment and just thank you, Rabbi, for bringing such sweet music and wisdom into our space this evening. Some of you may have been having a bit of a rough time the last couple weeks. Anyone? Maybe the child's feeling a little squeezed. You're not alone. It's happening a lot in this world. And for those of you who are astrologically inclined, Mercury went into retrograde last week, so there's that. But thumbs down. It's not thumbs up, thumbs down. So things might not be working out as we would like them to. But also in our Jewish calendar, we're at a really, I feel like I say this all the time up here, we're at a really important time. They're all important, but this one is crucial in some ways, and it's a hard time inherently. And I want to tell you about it because it's also really important. This is a time of grief. It's the time when we are being squeezed, and the time where we're asked and invited into, not only by our tradition, but by the natural rhythms of the world, of the earth, and the rhythms of our peoplehood, to look and pay attention to the grief and the things to be grieved in our lives. So before we get into that, let's talk about what grief is. And to do that, I want to share a story. Last summer, my grandmother died. My grandma, who I was raised with, technically my dad's stepmother, and so not my, I guess, biological grandmother, but very much the one grandmother who I had my entire life. And we had known she was dwindling. It was over the course of many years, and by the time that the moment came, it was one of those deaths that was just such a sweet release as opposed to a shocking surprise, And we all, a lot of the family gathered in Southern California for the funeral, and it was really so good to be together. Like, that's what we kept saying. It was just so good to be together. And the funeral happened, and she was old. There weren't too many of her friends around left to be at the funeral. It was mostly just our family, and it was a dry funeral, not because there's no alcohol, but there weren't a ton of tears shed. Most of her sadness had already transpired as her days dwindled. And I remember being a pallbearer with my cousins and walking her to the grave, and just like the craziness of carrying this vessel that had contained this soul, and all the love that had been put into this physical was just a physical body now, just sitting with the transformation. And we got there, and the folks who were meant to lower the casket into the grave had not yet arrived. And so my dad, he performed the funeral, said, if there's anyone who would like to have one more minute with Nana, now's a great time. And I had been going to I wasn't feeling sad. And actually, none of us in the family were actively feeling sad. But I had been going to these grief rituals and grief ceremonies, primarily on the peninsula and on Bainbridge Island. And something inside me, I couldn't even put, it wasn't a word, it was just a feeling of now's the moment. And I remember walking up, it was a hot summer day, I was in all black, sweating, just me. And so first the invitation came, if anyone would like to have another moment, and everyone, there was this hesitational moment, and I don't think anyone felt particularly called to, but we kind of maybe felt like we should. And so I took the step, and I went, and I just remember walking up and just putting my hand on the casket, and something in me opened up, and tears just flooded out. And I mean, like Niagara Falls on my face. It was an intense experience, and it wasn't. And I realized afterward, after I'd gone through, it wasn't sadness I was feeling at all, and it also wasn't just my own. I feel like, having my family watching there, I feel like what was coming through was something that was bigger than just me. It was something that I wasn't just holding on my own. It was grief not just for myself, but for my family. And, my sister asked me, what were you thinking about when that happened? And I was just thinking about the fact that Nana was gone. And that, playing war, she taught me how to play war growing up, and she made these amazing brownies, and, those times were just, they weren't going to happen anymore. And again, it wasn't a sadness, but it was just this almost acclamation to a new reality, right? It was this shift into recognizing that things were going to be different now. And that shift happened in my body, and something happened to allow this to come through. So I learned that day is that grief isn't sadness. It's not desperation, it's not depression, and it's not loneliness. It's something else that all those are a part of. And that moving through that grief, allowing that grief to open up is actually really important. I felt transformed after that. I felt like something had shifted. And after that moment, I remember I had my dad on my right, and a bunch of my cousins came up and joined me in that moment. We were able to share in this really heartfelt moment that made a difference. It really made a difference. And so grief is something that is a tool for us to move that which is stuck within us, right? And there's so many different definitions and ways we can look at it, but it's that way we can move that sadness, that thing that's different. It's that change, that shift happening on a somatic embodied level that is really important for us. And if it doesn't move, it actually gets stuck. And if it gets stuck, then it stays there, and it brings disease into our bodies. And this is something that science is starting to recognize and back, this idea of grief-based illness. We hear about people who we kind of know have died from grief, right, but not being able to express it. But not only that, but it's crucial because it can also get passed on. It can get passed on through our lineages, and sometimes we are grieving things that aren't ours to grieve. And we Jews, we carry a lot of that. We've had a lot of hard things happen to us over the course of the centuries. And so our calendar gives us a moment actually a really long moment, over 3 weeks of moment in which that we give attention to this grief. And I can sense a little bit of discomfort in this space. I know it's not a comfortable thing to think about and to hold, but it's also an important aspect of being human. In some ways, the argument is made that it's the opposite of joy, that joy is balanced by grief, and our ability to experience joy is matched by our ability to experience grief. And so at this time, we had a holiday about 2.5 weeks ago called the 17th of Tammuz. Can you guess what date it was on? Just joking. It was the 17th of Tammuz. We can have a little laugh even if we're talking about heavy stuff. And this began a period of time called the 3 weeks. And the 17th of Tammuz is a day where traditionally some Jews will fast. And it recognizes, I would say, it's a lower T tragedy day, where we recognize certain tragedies that have befallen, and they're completely escaping me right now. But some stuff that happened in our past that was important to remember, but not the big stuff. And sorry? Thank you. That's one of them. Yes, thank you. The breaching of the walls around Jerusalem. There's a number of other ones. And it's meant to get us almost into the mood, in some ways, into the mood of grief. And for the following 3 weeks, we start to sit with our grief. We start to sit with the things in our lives that need to be looked at and accessed, the stuff that's hard, to warm up to and lead up to a holiday that sits next weekend on Saturday night, August 2nd, is a holiday called Tisha B'Av, which is the day of grief in Judaism. It commemorates the ideas that commemorates a certain number, which I'll list in a moment, of tragedies that happened to our people, but we can also add everything else that's ever happened to that day as well. So the tragedies include both the destruction of the first and the second temple, the falling of the Bar Kokhba revolt, the Warsaw Ghetto uprising failing, Kristallnacht, and pretty much every expulsion from every country, England, France, Spain. I believe, if I recall correctly, the orders of the Spanish Inquisition were signed on that day. Wow, all that on one day. Who knows if they actually happened on that specific day, but this is the day that we set aside to remember this. And people will fast, and the idea is that you're supposed to be in grief all day, and you're not supposed to have any joy. You're not supposed to study Torah at all, because as Rashi says, to study Torah is a joyous thing, so we stay away from Torah. I would tell Rashi, I invite you to try teaching Torah to modern-day middle schoolers. Just another joke. But it's a day where we're supposed to really go into the depths, really to flow down, to go down into the deep, and to really dig up that deep stuff. And I can imagine that most of us have had stuff happen in our lives that we might be able to look at, that maybe has gone untended. I'm seeing some nods in the audience. And so I invite you today, at your own comfort level and at your own pace, this is a great time to do that, to look at that. And I can tell you from my own grief work experience, when I've had the courage to step forward like Nachshon did into those waters, in that surrender, and to really face that hard stuff, like, it feels really good to have done that. There's a clearing that happens that's unlike anything else, and I can almost hear my ancestors thanking me and saying, yes, we've needed you. Thank you. We've been waiting for you to do this for us. And we Jews, like I mentioned, have a lot of it. And it's been passed down, will continue to be passed down until we really look at it. And I can only imagine the trauma and the grief that's happened in the Holy Land, right? That in the more immediate past and throughout our entire existence, and how I can only imagine the connection of what's happening there being connected to ancestral grief from all peoples involved, right? That this is stuff that's really passed down both in story and in body. And so this time is really important. It's important that we take a look at this stuff, that we face the hard stuff, and that we also recognize that this is a time where we can also hold hope, right? That in the calendar, on the calendrical level, the next holiday is Tu B'Av, which is the 15th of the month of Av. Tisha B'Av is the 9th day. And the 15th is the day of love. It's Jewish Valentine's Day. Did you know we have a Jewish Valentine's Day? You guys know that? Right? It's pretty cool. And the idea is that in our grief, in those low places where God seems so far away, we can actually remember that God is with us even in those moments, and that we can use that feeling of distance to actually then, on the other side, bring us closer. That after, for those of us who have had a big grief release, all we want afterward is what? A hug. And we get that hug. In fact, we're encouraged to hug, and more on Tu B'Av. Thank you. I'm glad we're able to laugh a little bit with this. And Tisha B'Av really is the beginning of the high holiday season, right? That not only do we move into Tu B'Av, into love, but we start to reflect on our year, and we start to open up, and this movement of grief from our bodies creates space for us to welcome in what's to come in our coming year, and to really allow these reflections to anchor in from a clear place to bring in a better version of ourselves. And let me tell you, I mean, the destruction of the temple was a huge tragedy. I can only imagine both times, hundreds of years, Jews would go to that temple daily, weekly, monthly to offer and to be in connection with God, and to have that taken away. I can only imagine, especially for people at that time, the consciousness shift and how hard that must have been for them to experience. And what came was our diaspora, was us being able to bring this beautiful thing called Judaism all around the world, to let it grow and to let it spread and to let it be the fullest expression of what we know it to be today. And God was there for that. God helped move that along. And so I hope that my prayer for us for this time of hardship, of Mercury being in retrograde, this time of the 3 weeks, and as we dwell in our own contemplations and reflection of grief on Tisha B'Av, again, next Saturday night into Sunday, that we really can use this time to move that's what's within us, and to create space to allow more goodness to enter into our bodies, to allow us to be fuller versions of ourselves, to do the work our ancestors have been waiting for us to do, that they did not know how to do, did not have the capacity or tools to do, and to be stewards of that beautiful brightness that we were sent here to be. And so with that, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.
Amen.
And on the note of our ancestors, we move into a moment of memory, remembering those who are no longer with us. This week, or this month, we remember Brenda Sosland Butzel, mother of Kyra and Laura Butzel, mother-in-law of Joel Martell and David Berg, grandmother to Ayla and Thea Martell and Leitchen and James Berg. We remember at this time the yard sites of Muriel Abram, Edgar Baer, Gabriel Deichmann, Ronald Davis, Francesco Giovanni, Jack French, Frank Fugazi, Philip Kahn, Alexander Kiselev, Alban Korch, Eliza Lempert, Jeremy Lipnick, Sarah Little, Louis Mallon, Leon Yehuda Matalone, Harold Mayer, Florence Mayer, Daniel McGrain Conaway, James Papa George, Jacqueline Piatigorsky, Allison Rose, Dave Shilton, Herman Silverman, Mark Andy Smith, Joseph Seufer, Frank Tachau, Hermine Tobolowski, Edith Vigderman, Stephen Weiss, Elmer Williams, Lillian Wittenberg, Susan Gross-Slotnick. To those names, I invite you to name anyone who you're remembering at this time who has died at recent days or at this time in years past. If you are here tonight and morning, I invite you to rise. Take a moment just to look around and see who's in grief today, tonight. We join those who are grieving by all rising together in solidarity. Turn to page 294 for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzkadal v'yitzkadash me rabba, be'alma divra chute ve'amlich malchute, b'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye t'chol beit Yisrael, ba'gala u'v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei rabba mevorach le'olam olamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei d'kedusha b'richu, Ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, alenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories truly be for a blessing. Together we can say again, amen. You may be seated. So as I mentioned before, the opposite of grief is joy. So let's take a moment and just recognize the simchas in our life. And I'm curious if there's anybody out there who has a simcha from this week that they would like to share. Yes. Well, sorry, first off, your name? Hashem. Amazing. Nice. Yeah. Beautiful. Anyone else? Hey, 50. Amazing. You know who led some math? Beautiful. And your name? Rafi. Beautiful. Please help us balance out that sermon tonight. Like, give us some more joy tonight. Yeah.
Ooh.
I like to add the simcha of the sun coming out for us. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I was a little worried this morning. I was like, it's a little bit of rain, some overcloud gloom. Look at that. It's a miracle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Reminder of our own quality of output. Beautiful. Yeah, Ken. Dayenu, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, Shira.
I'm sure and my boyfriend.
Amazing. Beautiful. Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's that's something. Wow. Wow, beautiful. I'll just share my own personally is to be able to celebrate Shabbat with my dad and my girlfriend as well, and so it's so great to have them both here in town. Yeah, any last minute simchas? Come on. I know there's more out there.
My nephew is taking the train up from Portland by himself
Whoa.
to hang out and spend a few days, but really to watch my kid for me so that I can like be a human for a couple of hours. But mostly I'm excited to see Jake. Like, it's really cool. He's 13. It's like big deal.
A 13-year-old Jake.
13-year-old.
Gotta love it.
Yeah, on a train.
Amazing. Last call, anyone?
Yeah. Woohoo, Yeshua.
Awesome. Well, we're going to end tonight with a song for peace, a prayer for peace, because we cannot use enough peace in this world at this time. So we'll join together in the words of Shalom Rav, which is on page 60.
Shalom
Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
Tasim Leolam.
And before we really wrap up, I just want to thank Rabbi Souther again for coming and just helping us with the music and sanctifying our time with those beautiful melodies and notes and chords you were playing. Also want to thank Ronnie Schur for being our shamash this evening. You can really thank Ronnie with your words, but also with your deeds by bringing your sidurim back to him at the end of the night, putting it back on the cart. Thank you, Arlo, for doing such a great job getting our... I mean, look at this setup. I wouldn't know how to do this. Like, come on, that's amazing. And thank you all for coming and just making tonight what it was. It would not have been the same without you all being here. So thank you truly for all coming out. I mean, with the traffic and everything, like, you guys knew what you were in for. Like, thank you so much for making the effort and the schlep to be here.
Sure. Short or long? Okay. Baruch atah
We're on page 5.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta im kol amim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat l'chaim.
L'chaim, everyone. And our last bracha of the evening, bracha over the challah. So let's all stand and do what we do here at Beth Am, which is make a nice big star of people, making some form of safe physical contact with each other as we bless this beautiful challah.
I mean, how are you? From us? Are you doing this? Oh my gosh! How are you feeling? Oh, good. Good. I'm excited for you. That's awesome. Do you know where you're gonna be? Okay. Is that north or south? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, I can't wait to hear about it when you get back. Oh my gosh. Can I give you a hug?